Hi class, back again, this time with a second lecture video concerning rhythm, right? And what we're going to be discussing, like I said, I hinted at, is dotted rhythms, right? So up until this point we've just discussed dividing beats evenly, right? Right in half. 1 divided by 2 equals a half. Half plus a half equals 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Real simple, right? Well, what happens when we have maybe something like this? And we're going to encounter this in music this quarter. That doesn't look like anything we've seen before. We have a quarter note and then an eighth note. But I thought eighth notes were supposed to come in groups of 2 or 4 because that gives us a whole number and an and. A whole number and an and. Very nice and neat. Even, right? Well, music is not always that even. Oftentimes it's not that even, right? So what we have to take into account is we have to think of how many eighth notes are in a beat, right? How many eighth notes are in a quarter note? We know that it's 2, so it's 1 and. There's our quarter note. As you notice, I've removed the dot. But if I add a dot to this quarter note, all of a sudden, that gives it an extra eighth note. Which means, if we go in the order of eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, if it gets 3 eighth notes, that means it gets 1 and, what's next in the order? 2. So, that means that this dotted quarter gets 1 and 2. Then this eighth note would get and. Now if we did the same with this next rhythm right here, we would go the next 3 eighth notes, right? Which would be 3 and 4. So let's write in 3 and 4 above that. 3 and 4. What's left over? Just this lonely little and. So, how would we count this out loud? We would go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there's kind of like almost like a hiccup rhythm. Let's listen to it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Even if the melody, or I should say the rhythm was even, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Notice that I'm hitting the note, hitting the beat on the whole number. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But with the dot adds that extra eighth note. So now it becomes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So remember class, when you're encountering dotted quarter notes, keep in mind and keep track of where your eighth notes are. Never hesitate to count out loud and never hesitate to write your beats in. It helps immensely when learning this material. Eventually, I promise you, you won't have to do that. But keeping things straight and organized and neat from the very beginning helps you to absorb the material, learn the material, and use the material, thereby mastering the material, right? So remember, when you get to a dotted quarter note, think 3 eighth notes. Quarter note already has 2 eighth notes. That dot just adds a little extra in. So we would add 1 and 2 eighth notes. And then in our pattern, we have to go to the next, we can't go 1 and. We have to go in our pattern 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we have to say the next number, 1 and 2. Then that eighth note is the and. Dotted quarter, that's 3 eighth notes, 3 and 4. Eighth note is the and. Okay? So, remember class, if you ever have any questions concerning this content, never hesitate to contact me. Until next time class, take care.